Harry? Oh, we've
Let's
already
wait
done the
till we get.
recording.
Let's wait. Hold.
Okay.
Wait till we get our pants up.
Today we're just shooting the shit.
Nice.
But
So we're gonna shit on people?
no, Scotty wrote in a Substack about grifters. And I think, Rory, you and I
I hate grifters.
have spoken about this in other contexts, right? Like when I see someone teaching someone nonsense, I think that they're stealing from people. And I think that they are endangering people, especially in martial arts. If you tell people I'm teaching you how to survive or protect yourself and it's garbage, then you are outright dangerous. And so Rory and I have always called those people out. But Scotty, you are now on a rampage against what you're calling grifters. Would you like to share some thoughts on that?
Rampage is a strong word. I'm trying to pick my battles because I'm not particularly proud of myself. Damn near 50. I shouldn't be getting internet squabbles. But the gentleman that will probably talk about the day, I feel a little differently because his content is just dripping with shit talk about everyone else in the combat sports industry. And he has hoodwinked and fooled and convinced a lot of high level fighters that his pseudo profound bullshit is worth taking their valuable development time for.
All right. Do we want to mention his name?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
But here's the thing. You're being 50 and internet squabbles and all that shit. I mean, it's
49,
not.
yeah, we're getting there.
It's not. Well, I was just there a couple weeks ago, but it's not. I don't believe, as Adam said, we see people in the space teaching self-defense and bullshit, and we get on all of those people. At least I know Adam and I do. Because they're stealing money, they're dangerous. And if you're also then saying they're taking up people's valuable resources and time, and they're not helping, then I don't think it's squabbling to try and point out to people that pseudo scientific bullshit and other nonsense because you can say a lot of words and
But I,
are valuable.
Scotty, correct me if I'm
Can I just interject there? There's two cohorts,
yeah.
right? The biggest cohort, they're hobbyists. They want to lose weight. I put a reel on last night. We've had this kid, Nate, that joined us 4 months ago. He's in every day. He's given it his best try, and he's 48 pounds down in 4 months. And again, anyone that brings people in a sport and a community and they get moving, I'm all for. We're talking about serious fighters who are serious about their careers and serious about development. So I want to just put that, like, preface anything we say today is I have no interest in being a gatekeeper or any kind of authority on who should be allowed to share ideas in the sport. We should always be able to share our ideas in the sport, but we should also be able to let our ideas be challenged and let them be scrutinized. That's all.
So, and I think one of my coaches last night asked me, we were talking about how we approach feedback, instruction, interventions, and stuff. And he said, a very fair question. He said, how do we know this is right? And I said, we don't.
We don't.
I said, but whatever other theory there is, we don't know that that's right either. And at a minimum, we seem to be willing to say, this is what we believe. This is an underpinning, a framework, and try and defend why we're doing what we're doing. And what I find infuriating about some of these people we're talking about is they'll put up a drill, they'll put up an idea, and you will just ask a very simple question like, why do you think this transfers? Or what is the effect you're looking for? Or et cetera, et cetera. And they will never engage with that. And I know that we, at least the three of us, are very willing to engage with that question. None of us on either side of the.
I think it should be the question.
I agree, and
The second question.
no one on either side of the ledger can present a bunch of evidence. We're all just experimenting. It's impossible to control for all the variables and say this is this, but at least we are willing to engage and answer questions and be challenged and challenge each other. And what I see from the other people is an inability to defend why they do what they do, to rationalize why they do what they do, other than this is what we've always done, or I do this and my fighters win fights.
I don't really see a problem in rationalizing it. I think we can rationalize it easily and readily. I just question the rationalization. I mean, we can say shadow boxing works because everyone does it, and it's and you can visualize, and so we can make stories up about everything we do, right? So the rationalization part is simple enough, but does it hold up to further scrutiny?
What does that scrutiny look like?
The scrutiny asks what your fundamental, like ontological, or what's your grounded assumptions? What is your framework and your approach based upon? How do you think people learn? How do you think people move? And when someone, it's such a fascinating question to me, and it's getting redundant now. I ask it so much. When two fighters come to the middle of the cage and get ready to throw a strike at each other, what is going on?
I
What
don't think a lot of people have an answer.
and that's what we're spending, a little bit tragic, but that's what we're devoting much our lives to understanding what is going on.
And what infuriates me a little bit about asking those questions is, how can that be going on when you are doing it by yourself? Or how could that be going on when you're doing it on hand pads? Or how could that be going on when you're doing kata, right? That someone on our thing today posted again. What they all look like kata to me. I do this, they do this, I do this, they do this, then I do this. And I really thought we moved past that when we sort of all left the traditional martial arts. But we see it in striking, we see it in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, we see it in wrestling, these trying to ingrain these patterns of I do this, they do this. Well, what if they just do something slightly different?
Well, there's another
And then
pattern.
say again?
There's another pattern for that.
Right, but there isn't. So they believe that there's some online adjustment that occurs. It's just it's impossible.
Yeah, well, it's because if you ask them why they think that's occurring, I don't believe they have an answer. I don't believe most people. I think that if someone questions me, I at least have an answer, like you said earlier, to why we do what we do. Whether it's academic underpinnings, it's theoretical underpinnings, but there's an answer. And if we're wrong, well, then, okay, we're wrong, but then why are you right? And if all you have is because I learned it this way, they learned it this way, and they learned it this way, then that's not an answer to any that shouldn't be. No one should be okay with because I learned it this way. You could have learned it completely and utterly wrong. And his coach could have learned it wrong from his coach, and all these coaches could be doing it wrong if you can't answer a fundamental why. And if
I
all
had a
your
good
answer is because postmodern verbiage bullshit, then that's not an answer either. That's just you obfuscating people with language, and that's what makes you a grifter.
I had a good conversation with Forrest the other day, and what the conversation ended up going towards is that he sees what we were talking about, right? He sees that in a perfect world, this is probably how he would train people. But our discussion is not about what's right, what's wrong, these people win, these people lose. It was just the difficulties involved in applying some of these things in a world where there's a mixture or people expect certain things or safety or cultures, things like that. And I think that's a great conversation, because those are real world difficulties. But that's not what people are engaging in. So, Scotty, you want to tell us who you're when you have this Mount Rushmore of grifters, right?
Well,
Who's
one just left me. He didn't want to play. I have two.
But he can't.
who are your two? Who are the two?
Oh, there's two. Okay.
He has two.
There's
I didn't
really
know there
one.
were two.
There's really one. It's Coach Barry Robinson.
Okay, tell us what bothers you the most about what is he doing?
Let me start off with something nice to say. I do think
Okay.
I do think as a tactician and his strategies, and I think he clearly has an eye for fighting. I wouldn't take that away from him.
Okay.
I think, and I'm more comfortable. I never like talking shit. I'm never that comfortable even talking it now. But when I watch some of his content, it's just constant bashing of everyone else's ideas. No one knows what the fuck they're doing, and then proceeds to talk about this layering the cake with 30 rounds of walking, and he's doing this with elite level fighters. And the once or twice I've had a conversation with him. Someone put me in for an IG live, and that went off the rails quickly. We were talking past each other, so that was a complete mess. But as he will not engage with anything that even remotely challenges or pushes back. Hence the reason when we kind of flirted with each other last week, and now I'm banned from all his accounts, removed my comments. And just to give a little bit of context, he's working with a high-level Bellator fighter or a Bellator fighter. He had one of these aqua bags with a broomstick on the top, and you had the guy, and it was like one of the Daleks from Doctor Who, and you had the guy doing all this stuff and whatnot, and we got a little bit in the back and forward from that, and I've been banished from his social media presence. So I felt, fuck it, gloves are off.
So what could he say to you? What could he say to you that would not create a further, like, what could he say to you that would make you say, okay, like, we'll agree to disagree, but at least I understand where you're coming from?
I'd have to think about that.
But has he
That's a,
provided anything? That's the thing. He hasn't even
Well, no,
provided.
he has. I
Oh,
mean,
he has?
he
Okay.
his I believe that he would say, and I'm just trying to steelman him for I believe that he would say that his ideas are rooted in military drilling, right? He was in the army and he is a big basketball fan. And he would sort of take those two worlds and say, in the military, we teach people to do very dangerous things by rote repetition. And in the basketball world, those players spend a lot of time on rote repetition. And so he would watch a video of a fighter, of a strategy or a tactic working in high level fights. And he would say the way to do this is to tease it apart and do rote repetition on each of these parts, much like some BJJ coaches that we know about. Lloyd Irwin is a good example. I mean, he's a big drill guy for very similar reasons. I think that's what Barry would argue. The interesting thing is some of his ideas on defense being a priority, some of his ideas on you know if you're not defending, if you're having a problem defending the jab, then you're going to have a problem fundamentally boxing. Things like that make total sense to me, and I think all of us. But if you question him about that drilling, that in isolation walking around, and why you need to do 8 layers of just layering the cake, which I fucking hate that term, by the way. God, I hate that fucking term.
well, I know there's plenty of people glazing the cake. There's no
Yes.
shortage of glaze at the end of it.
Yeah. And there's no room for anybody else, and he's charging an exorbitant amount of money. And when you ask him a question about what he said or did on Instagram, he says, "Well, join my Patreon or pay for this," or he says, "Have you taken enough notes? Have you watched my shit?" And I find that I get it. His time is valuable, but I find his lack of answering anything very disingenuous.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Grift.
But again, I ask you, could he say anything to you that would at least you may not agree with, right? Because like when we talk to someone who's big on pad holding and they say, well, I think pad holding is a good way for my fighters to get precise or faster or hit harder, and I try and make it alive. We may not agree with that. We may not agree that they can actually do that, but at least it's thought out. Could he say something to you where you were like, okay, at least it's well thought out, even if I don't agree with you?
Um, I think it would. I think it'd be very, very hard push to ever be convinced that taking a fighter who's been training for many, many years has achieved a higher level of success, that being able to overload and reprogram the way they walk left and right. Okay, let's grant that can happen. We know.
Okay.
We know. Again, I would like him to explain to me the disconnect for when the live interaction begins and the perturbations come, the noise is added to the system, why it rarely holds up, why we can look at fights. And there's a whole industry of that, right? Post-hoc analysis of fights. And it's been the wildest disconnect that I've spoken about for the longest time. We don't see that. We don't see the flowery drills and the perfect technique. It's absent from fighting. We just watched you could make a case, you could take little snips of the Ilya Justin fight where he was ripping these body shots. And from that little moment there, when Justin was balling up, you could say that looked like some good technical work, good rotation, good punches, all that. But for the rest of it, it's just they are glimpses. There's glimpses of it in fights, but the vast majority of fighting is chaotic organization and reorganization of the fighters. And so it begs the question, what are we doing?
I said this to my group last night afterwards because we were doing a lot of first. We're doing a lot of offense, defense work, and a lot of first. And I was like, the only thing that you sort of have control over, as the only thing that can be really clean is your sort of first or second strike. Like that's the only thing. After that, by the third strike, it started your everything started to degrade. You're counter striking, defending, like all that's chaotic.
I totally agree, and that's why we spoke about that last year, right? The stuff that everything that's going on outside of the exchange, and I think to be fair, this is what maybe there is more value in that, right? I can't hear you, Rory. You put yourself on mute, Rory. Okay.
Yeah, on purpose.
The I'm only interested when the exchange starts. I think everything else is more or less irrelevant. Yes, we've got ringmanship where you are in the cage. Are you too close to the cage wall or the ring ropes or whatever? These things can have an effect once the engagement starts. But we're interested in what's happening when the exchange starts. What happens when the two systems come together and start exchanging? That's what's interesting to us, right? That's the world that we're trying to. That's the puzzle we're trying to solve.
Yeah, I might extend when the exchange starts a little further than that.
And sorry, to your point, I think you can make a good case that I could accept that the initiation of that exchange, the initiation of it, is something that could probably be developed, or could probably benefit from maybe isolated work.
Maybe
the initial.
It's the only. It's the only time.
You still need to know where and when to throw it. Sorry, I'm rambling.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's the only time that I watch guys and I want it to sort of look a certain way. I think Rory feels the same way. The only time that I want to see more of an aesthetic quality, for lack of a better term, is when they initiate that initial one or two strikes. Because that's the only time that they are generally throwing from the most balance, the most structure, the most, everything is right. They're on platform, if you will, if we were talking about throwing a football or something. After that, after the first sort of one or two things, then we know everything starts to degrade. Nothing will then look like anything we can control. Stuff is coming back. They're missing. So as you miss a punch, then how do you reorganize as you're falling or recovering or defending? Like all that's fucking chaos. There's no way to plan for that. The only thing I think you could quote unquote plan for is your first jab cross or your first double jab. It's why every hook we see comes off the hips. I think it's almost like a tensegrity type thing. The cross goes and you sort of bring that hook down and around. I just don't think we control for any of that after the first couple beats.
Although
and I don't want to do that out of and like you said, I don't want to do that in isolation from an opponent, obviously. But I think we can do a lot of drills on first contact drills or whatever you want to call them. What do you call them? You have a different name for them. That's just going first, initiation, whatever.
Yeah. Serve and return, I call them.
Yeah.
And then I see a performance like Haggerty's last week against Yoza, and how he's able to remain stable through his combinations and his movement is really impressive. Really impressive. But if you watch Haggerty, he does 5 or 6 things. He does them beautifully, he does them wonderfully. He can do more than 5 or 6 things, but he's almost chunking these kind of these exchanges together. I'm extremely impressed with that young man. But then it's Muay Thai as well. So it's a smaller possibility space. So pure striking is always going to look a little cleaner.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I saw things did you watch the Boots Enos fight versus Zayas? You should watch it. You can find it. It's only 6 rounds. I mean, they are doing things. They are moving and infight. It has some of the best infighting I've seen. And they're moving around each other and they're doing all these things that I would love fighters to be able to do. I would love to quote unquote teach that. But how?
So we get to that point. So we're seeing this beautiful expression of movement in these fights. So we acknowledge it. We can get somewhat closer, right? So there seems to be this caveat. So it's not a law, right? So some fighters seem to be able to break it. So then we ask the question: what contributed to that? I don't think it's enough to say, well, they do a lot of pad work. They practice a lot on pads. I would be curious to know, well, what is the volume of sparring? How's their sparring experience been? What is the volume of live work? How many fights have they had or whatever? Because I think, again, we go around in circles with this, right? We look at guys like Lomachenko and Usyk, and I just so much competition experience. 900
Right.
fights between them. That's a development.
We should not point to someone like Haggerty or Enos or Usyk or whatever and try and reverse engineer that. Like there is a causality issue in a lot of what we're seeing, and that's what Barry Robinson is guilty of. There's this causality, like because we did this, they can do this. No, they can do that because they can do it because they are a rare athlete, right? And it's the same thing with strengthening and conditioning, where they're like, oh, if we achieve these strengthening and conditioning goals, they'll be better football players. Well, maybe they can achieve those goals because they're already at the top of the top. And the idea that we can reverse engineer, we can watch uh, Lomachenko do those movements and then think we can reverse engineer that. Okay, we can't reverse engineer 350 high level amateur fights. We can't reverse engineer that he boxed and wrestled from the time he's 12 years old. Like, it's ridiculous.
Give me 2 seconds. Keep talking.
All we can do is put them in live exchanges and nudge them towards these things, and they'll develop the way they develop.
At least that's what we believe. And
well, but I think the evidence holds that out because there's only one Lomachenko. There's only one Boots Enos. If you could reverse engineer it, there'd be a bunch of those guys.
And how many? Yeah, I mean, it's in any athletic endeavor. There are the reason why those guys get to the highest level. If most of them are doing the same stuff, most of them are in the same environment in a sense, and doing similar things: bad work, pad work, getting the coaching from the coach, and this is how you do it. This is the best way to do it, and this is what this is what we want, and this is the technique. And the percentages of any of those people out of any of those gyms across the world is
right.
This.
Tiny.
It's you look at those charts with this is how many kids play tackle football when they're young. This is how many make it to college. This is how many make it to the pros, and it's like you're better off trying to play lottery because you have a better chance at winning the lottery than you do of being a professional football player.
There's no one else mimicking Lomachenko. Lomachenko has been around as a professional long enough that enough coaches tried to mimic that, tried to show that footwork. We even have a friend who tried to create a system around it. And you just don't see it. It's not possible. Like I remember I'm a bigger boxing fan than you guys.
To move like Lomachenko, you would have to have been Lomachenko.
Yeah, I think the only way to move like Lomachenko, to move like Boots Enos, to move like Haggerty is to be those guys. And the only thing we can do is nudge them towards things and let them develop the way they have to develop, not look at Lomachenko and say, oh, I want my guys to move like Lomachenko. That is ridiculous. And we don't, and that's the reason we don't see. Look, jiu-jitsu had this movement with lapel guards. And you don't see a bunch of guys playing lapel guards. In boxing, you had all these guys who were like customato acolytes. They were all trying to teach the Tyson. You had almost nobody achieved any. I remember Jeremy Williams was one of the guys. No one achieved a level that Tyson did with that. And you don't see that system or Winky Wright being playing like this kind of shit. No one else can do that. It just points to me the fact that live work, nudge them, get out of the way. They will develop the way they need to and can develop.
I think this is a part too.
Never hit that level because
and there's also the uniqueness in it, Rory. I mean, there's been a handful of high level fighters who their sons have gone into the sport. They haven't either achieved the success, they don't quite move like them, yet the template, presumably, the coaching template has most likely tried to be faithfully recreated.
Well, Fraser's a good example.
I was just thinking of Fraser, young Marvin, right?
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't his father. He didn't have those stones that his father had. His father was a fucking killer. You can't just download that. You know what you saw? The NBA had its draft recently, and there was a tremendous percentage of guys drafted who had parents who had played either high-level college basketball or in the NBA. And some of that's just genetics. Like, if you want to be a high-level basketball player, it's probably good if you have two parents that are high-level athletes. Okay, so we can't do anything about that. That just happens. And then it probably helps if your parents were like, hey, here's a basketball when you were young, and let's just play in the driveway. And if you play in the driveway from the time you're 8 years old to the time you're 16 with a high-level parent or whatever, probably a decent path to getting good at basketball. You know,
You have to enjoy
Jalen,
playing basketball. At the same time, though, you have to
right?
enjoy that. Like you might be
Sure,
out there for 8 years because you don't want to upset your dad, and then when it's time for you to be like,
enjoy
I'm
it.
out of here, fuck all this basketball. I want to go play golf or tennis or whatever
Right.
else, or I just want to go learn how to play chess. Like there's so much
And you
involved.
got to be over 6 foot. Even if your parents are 6'8", you may not be over 6 foot. So you can't play you can't play pro basketball then.
Maybe go
You know,
overseas.
Yeah, I
you know,
wonder if you're. I'm starting to see, and actually, I've had some feedback from visitors that have been coming in. I had a guy come in yesterday. He's a 6 year brown belt or whatever. So I consider him, he's a good grappler. He's been around the sport, and he was saying to me, you guys are getting really good. And when you opened this and you were going down this approach, it was like you took a chance, right? Because everyone just thought it was a bunch of horseshit. He says, but the evidence is starting to come, like it's on the mats, right? I mean, we still need to do the proving in the cage. It's still an amateur team. But this week of open mats, because we do it twice a year, right? We open the gym to the community for the whole week, and people come in, and it's just a big free for all. And it's just the vibe's great. It's wonderful. Everyone's sharing ideas. You're getting new looks. And I was curious, are you familiar with the term learned helplessness?
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
good, bro.
I couldn't define it. I just was reading something.
I didn't want to put you on the
Was reading
spot.
something yesterday about learned helplessness, and I
I didn't
couldn't.
want to put you on the spot, but I
Oh,
think this is.
it's when it's like you're repeatedly in like uncomfortable, stressful situations, and then you basically just stop trying to fix it. You're like it's almost an internalized victim mentality. It's a kid who's abused their whole lives, almost settles into a life where abuse sort of finds them.
I
They
think there's
they
something similar going on. Like the classic example is the dog, right? They'll shock the dog, and
yeah,
then they'll get to a stage where there's some behavioral things they'll have there, and the dog just fuck it, and they
It
stop.
even happens in
The dog
insects.
just
They
accepts it.
cover the fleas and then fleas jump and hit the top, and then don't jump anymore once they take the top off because
yeah,
they
it's
were
probably
stopped every
similar.
time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
The reason I bring that up is our quip's always been, embrace the chaos, learn how to learn and embrace the chaos, right? And the learn how to learn part is really important to me. But it's been a struggle, as you might have it too, right? Because I just don't go there. I want these guys to eventually get it. So it's almost like I want to walk behind my fighters, no, pull them along with me, if that makes sense. And some of my guys really get it, and they've learned how to learn, and now they're sharing ideas. I mean, what can I really tell them? They're exploring. They understand. They've internalized that learning is an active process. It's not passive. But to the point is that I've never really been able to convince anyone by my words. They have to get in and experience and just find out for themselves. And it takes some people never get there. They never really truly buy in. But once they have this perceived competency that's all fighting is movement, solving movement problems, exploring and discovering, then the conversations get much richer. Then we'll go off to the side and we'll say, what do you think of this? And then we'll break something and say, why do you think this is working? Oh, well, and there's usually 2 or 3 things going on in every position in the sport. And so I could force them into that and be the sage on the stage and give them all the knowledge. Not that I have it, but presumably I've got a little more than them when they come in. So this is what I'm trying to, extinguish this idea, this helplessness. I need a coach. The coach needs to answer my questions and I think, or solve my problems for me. And I think that's kind of my issue. I think that's where Barry Robinson's made his career, right? That only he can fix all your problems, and listen to him and go back to that mentality where you're this empty vessel and he's going to shape and mold you through his cake layering approach. And I'm not sure a fighter can ever truly express their true selves until they learn how to learn.
yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. Well, for just one sec before I come back, where learned helplessness is the basis of CIA interrogation tactics. It's like it's all over their manuals and stuff. So it's been used those experiments have been used for some pretty shitty things. Rory was there the other night. My fighter James had this weird epiphany. He's like, the things I do in practice aren't the things that I do in fights. And what the epiphany was, I think, for him is that's because in the fight, that's a different person. And so we're not trying to train, do this in the room, do this in a fight. We're trying to train, we throw all this variability at you, And you deal with that every night in your sparring. And then when you get into the fight, when that guy throws variability at you, we deal with that. That it can't look like, we don't want it to. It could never look like we program you in the room and then you run that program in the fight. We want you to be confident, comes from competence. And confidence comes from competence. So we want you to be confident, and we're building that here. But the fight in the cage that night can't look like the fight in here. And I think that was a good thing for him to sort of figure out on his own, because it also means that he can fail in the room during sparring. He can have exchanges where he loses, or this partner's better than him in certain places, and it doesn't matter. It's all valuable. Your idea about we actually are teaching them fighty things, not how to fight. They can't learn how to fight unless they're in a fight. We just throw all these fighty things at them. Their partners throw these fighty things at them, and then they get in a cage and they fight or they don't fight. Or they fight well or they don't fight well.
I think it's important just to reiterate, we're fucking guessing too, right? To the best of our ability.
Yeah, look, I wish more of us embrace this idea. Fucking uncertainty. This is the basis of everything in physics, and I wish the coaches, even our contemporaries, our cohort, embraced more uncertainty. We don't know. And I don't know if we can know. Because what will we measure? Hopefully they get more skilled, but we don't necessarily even know if that's us. Maybe leading up to the last fight, they were having fights with their girlfriend, and leading up to this fight, their relationship stable, and all of a sudden they perform better. Hey, congratulations, coach. We didn't do anything.
We see guys get more skilled in a room every day, and then they still even perform well,
right?
Because
exactly.
It's just because in the room it's safe, it's comfortable. They have no real expectations in their training, so to say, except to have a good time, get better, be a good training partner, be a productive member of the tribe and the community, and then they go out and all the internal dialogue that they never truly experience in the room because there's no consequence. They go out and now the internal dialogue totally screws with them.
I don't know. I don't know if that's totally all it is. I mean, I get that that's part of it, but it's also everyone is not a fighter.
Yes, I've told you that for years.
But you're pointing at you're trying to parse it out.
I'm not parsing at anything. I'm just saying there's all these other variables that then happen come fight time. So in the room, they're practice players.
Don't say it's internal dialogue. I think that's your point is something you can't back up.
Well, I mean, you can hear that from people themselves. So
but that's a post hoc. That's a post hoc thing. That's a narrative they're telling you. They're saying, "Oh, when I got in there, I thought this, I felt this." We don't know if that's true or not. We do know that we are doing fighty things in the gym, and when they get in a fight, sometimes they fight and sometimes they don't. But we've also had a guy come out and tell a story afterwards, but the real reason they lost the fight is because they did a shitty job defending the double leg in the second round. Not because of internal monologue, not because they're not fighters, because the truth of the matter is there was an exchange that they lost because we win and lose exchanges. And I would hate for that guy to think that he lost because of an internal dialogue or something, when if he had just defended that double leg a little bit better, earlier, harder, whatever, he wins the fight. And now we're not having this discussion about, I thought this, I felt this. Sometimes you swing and you miss.
Enjoy hearing you two go back and forward. I think to Rory's point where we defend, though, we can say, well, it's not the story, it's not an internal monologue, but regardless, I think these stories matter. I think the narratives and the stories we tell ourselves, I think they matter. And we all tell ourselves stories. Fighters tell themselves stories. It fundamentally changes their affect, how they're relating with their performance and stuff. So whether it's having, I think it probably can have an effect. Okay. Let's go back to your kind of confidence issue. Oh, speaking of confidence, I know you're a boxing fan. What do you think of Ben Whitaker?
I think that will only last until he gets matched up with a non-tomato can.
Oh, because that's the charge that's often thrown, and I'm not, I don't follow boxing that much. So you don't think he's really been tested yet?
I don't think he's been really tested yet. And here's the thing that's not, it's not that it's not fair, but it's that we'll never know, is that he's 29. He started late, right? Because he was an Olympian. I don't know, Rory, you're Jamie. What was Whitaker an Olympian in?
What's the first
So
name?
he was an Olympian. So he's
What's
a
the
high
first
level.
name?
Ben Whitaker, boxer,
Ben Whitaker.
English fella.
English.
Benjamin
And,
Whitaker, professional boxer.
okay, so Jamie, you just do
Like the
that,
re-embodiment of Nazim Hamid.
or
Taller, more-
that Augustus guy, the drunken master. So my point is, he's 29, so he's at his prime right now, right? Or he's entering his prime. But I don't think he has enough experience because he started late that I don't think he'll ever be able to fully express what he's trying to do at a higher level, because I think he's a little behind the experience curve. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And here's what, without the risk of sounding a bit woo, it seems like he's always in complete flow state. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he perhaps gets knocked out of that flow state. How
Right.
he
So like,
recalibrates and
silver medalist.
keeps the clutch. Silver medalist in boxing.
2020
and-
silver medalist, 2020 Olympic silver medalist.
okay, so 2020 Olympic silver medalist. How many fights did he have?
He was 53-13 as an amateur, and he now stands at 12-0 as a professional with 1 draw, 9 knockouts, 3 by decision.
66. So,
All right, so
79 times he's got through the ropes. And
yeah, okay. I was a little off. I didn't realize that it was 2020. So he hasn't had a lot of fights in his pro career, right? I think he's been a little bit
Bronze medalist as well as a world champion in 2019 in Russia.
Interesting. All right, so I take back a little bit of the experience question that I have. He's 29, so they're going to have to put him up against someone soon, right? I mean, I think if you look at the record of the guys he's fought, he has not been tested yet.
who's top of the tree at his weight class? Adam, might need to ask Jamie again.
Jamie,
Sure.
light heavyweight, which is also like not. Oh, it's the B's. The top of his weight class is or Bivol Benavidez. So
yeah, WBA, WBC, yeah.
Callum Smith, because Bertabiev is retired. Callum Smith is, but I bet he's already in the top 10 of that weight class, because it is a bit of a weak weight class. So, but I bet the next fight's a real fight.
I'm curious though, because he's constantly facing kind of the orthodoxy of boxing, right?
Right.
Most of his opponents are moving similarly.
Yes.
Obviously not the same similarly. Whether when he comes to a harder fight, they'll be able to solve the novelty problem that is Ben Whitaker.
Yes. And so can he, you said recalibrate. Can he adapt?
Adapt, yeah, that would be a better one. Because recalibrate would be probably going against other orthodox kind of fighters, yeah.
I've always felt that it is easier for a guy to loosen his structure. That's not, I wish I had a better word. I thought it was always easier for a guy to be more creative when he has a solid base than be really creative and then need the solid base. And I think I'm doing a shitty job explaining what I'm thinking.
Not a shitty job, but I would push back and ask you, because what does a solid base mean? Because
yeah, exactly.
It's like fundamentals. I mean,
no, I don't want that.
It's just a fucking throwaway word to me now.
What if he needs to bite down on his mouthpiece, sit in there,
and fucking fight?
Like, can he do that? You know, I think that happened to Xander Zayas a little bit versus Boots Ennis. Xander Zayas is not built to fight the way he fought, but Boots Ennis sort of forced him into that fight. And it didn't go that well for him. But he's young.
Who's at the burst the Nazim bubble? We're going back now. Was it Marquez?
Oh,
Nazim came over to the States.
Yeah.
Jamie, you got to get your...
Well, you guys don't stop talking so I can find out all the information in the world and sit it here on my computer, but you guys got to take a breath.
All right.
I have that Whitaker is number 2 in the WBC, number 3 in the IBF, and number 13 in the WBO.
Wow. Already.
Prince Nassim.
Yeah, so,
are you talking about Prince Nassim?
It's Barrera. I think maybe. Yeah, Marco Antonio Barrera.
2001.
Right. I mean, it was a unanimous decision.
Yes.
He did beat him up a little bit. He's also, speaking of Prince Nassim, have you seen what he looks like now?
He got big.
He's like a fucking balloon.
He got big.
We were talking about this the other night at the wedding, because we have a young black belt who has started lifting and is probably wrestled in college at like 140 and now outweighs some of us. And our guy who fought at 145 outweighs us. And like, it's interesting to see these guys who spend their whole lives cutting weight and never giving themselves a chance to fully develop. What happens when they just stop cutting weight, eat and lift a little bit? And I wonder if we stop the weight cutting until they hit a certain age and then see where they sort of land and then cut weight from there, if they wouldn't be way better served.
Lifting and eating, it's all there is to do in the motherfucking pen.
True that. It's like those gymnasts, right? The female gymnasts who, the second they stop practicing 4 hours a day and pounding their bodies like that, their whole bodies change. They get taller. Sometimes they even get taller, 20-something years old.
I think, isn't gymnastics the one sport that they say they need to get started early?
Yes.
Like there's a short shelf life.
Although Simone Biles is starting to change that. But it was so bad. The Chinese were starting kids so young that they had to change the rules on the age they could be to compete. And then the first year they put that in, the Chinese cheated their asses off. They were like, yeah, these girls are 16. And you're like, no, these girls are not 16. But there used to be a statistic like you had to be born a certain year to match up with the Olympics because you wanted to hit the Olympics exactly when you turned 16. But I think Biles...
That's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy because...
18. That fucking blows my mind.
16.
That's right, 16. That blows my mind.
And the Chinese had 14-year-old gymnasts and 14-year-old divers and things because they, smaller people spin faster, I guess.
Strength to weight ratios and all that stuff.
Yeah. So I think I was channeling you a little bit last night, Scotty, and I came to my own little epiphany. We're talking about how there's sort of if you want to be as fast as possible, then you will sacrifice some precision. And if you want to be as precise as possible, you will sacrifice some speed. And if you want to hit as hard as possible, you'll probably sacrifice both of those. And I had this thing popped in my head that the people that can shrink that gap the most, throw as fast and as precise as possible, get paid $40 million a year. And it's the same discussion as Lomachenko, all these other people. We can't force someone to be able to throw fast and precise. There are just some human beings who can do that. And they are rare. There are like 3 or 4 guys on the planet right now who can throw a baseball over 100 miles an hour and hit this target. And we can't reverse engineer that.
Why do you think, and I'm guilty of it, why do you think there's a tendency to say, well, we can't really, don't pay attention too much to the outliers? I'm not saying you say that, but I've been guilty of saying that, looking more across, generally speaking, but isn't probably the outliers that are really worth investigating? I mean, Gladwell wrote a book on it, didn't he?
Yeah, but it was almost all bullshit.
Gladwell it was a Gladwell book. Of course it was bullshit. Pop culture bullshit.
Gladwell is as guilty as exactly what I'm saying, where he starts with a premise and reverse engineers it. It is the opposite of science. He has a cool story and he cherry picks things that fit it. Now, he was right about the hockey ages. That has held true, but it's as simple as physical maturity. It has nothing to do with anything else. And so it's an easy thing. Duckworth wrote a whole book on grit, and it was a bestseller for 100 years. And if you asked her, okay, great, how do you develop grit? There's no answer, right? All she can do is say, hey, in a population of high achievers, they have more grit. Okay, I could have fucking told you that. We already have those things in the big 5 traits in psychology. We didn't need to rename it to sell a book, but she sold a lot of books, and I don't want to sound like a hater. But the only value of identifying grit, I know, whatever. I don't give a shit. The only value of identifying grit would be to tell us how to develop it. And guess what? You can't. You can select for it. No, stop. We don't believe. Listen, there is no here. No. There is no duality. We are not mind and body and environment. It is one thing. Sure. Every time you do this, I want to jump through the screen and choke you because we don't believe in this separate from this. It's all one thing.
It's an emotion.
We're going to give you boys a timeout here.
Sure.
I'm on vacation today, baby, so I'm relaxed.
Mr. Singer,
Which
talk to
one?
me about muscle memory. You've been softening your position on that, or at least having more of a nuanced take.
I don't think it's softening, and I don't think it's nuanced. So I don't want to give myself credit for
Now he's
nuance.
fighting with me, Rory.
No, I mean, it's just he's trying to be more welcoming to other people who say things who don't really know what they're saying. And I think that's fair. People say
Okay.
muscle memory, and it's like, well, what is that? Do they even know what they mean when they say that?
Right. And
What's the most generous interpretation of what
so
people
here,
mean?
Marco, I was talking to Marco about this, and he said,
Oh, excuse me,
it,
sorry. I just want
good,
to say congratulations on Marco. I'm really he's a
congratulations.
serious coach and he's put a ton of fucking work in. And he just graduated. It was the first cohort of the skill acquisition master's degree, and he graduated with a first class honors. I'm very proud of him
Very cool. Yes.
because I know how hard he's worked.
Mazel tov.
I am so glad that I got hooked up with him. He is, first off, he's my people. Like he's in the Northeast. Uh, so we vibe. And I love it. He's just like us. It's like you got challenge yourself, challenge each other. Don't believe anything just because we want it to be true. And yeah, I'm very proud of him, and I'm enjoying a lot of the back and forth. He was saying basically like if if somebody's training a barista to make coffee, right? And they say, "Oh, I'm trying to build their muscle memory." You're not going to be like, "No, you're attuning them to the environment and blah 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 blah." Like it doesn't help. So when someone says, "Yeah, I'm trying to build muscle memory," saying, "Where is that stored? What does that mean? Is muscles don't have memory?" Doesn't help. But the flip side is there are plenty of things that we throw around and take for granted that are just as unsubstantiated or unknown as muscle memory, like attractor wells. Like we can say, oh, they organize under the constraints every time, blah, blah, blah. But what the fuck does that even mean?
So that's where I am because we can talk all this highfalutin science stuff and eco and this is the way and maybe it is the way or maybe it's not, but just say it is the way. Okay, now what?
Exactly.
How does it help
So,
with design practice? It's like,
Yeah,
so
now
it's all
what?
the
so
navel gazing.
that's the
What should
discussion.
we fucking do at practice today? And I think all we're
Exactly.
saying is go back to the barista. And I threw that in the chat the other day. The word to teach is becoming a little vague to me, a little fuzzy. I don't know what that means because at the end of the day, they have to experience making the fucking coffee.
Right. Exactly. And is it habituation? Is it behavioralism? I don't care. I do care when the idea of muscle memory influences you to run practice in a way that doesn't jive with what we think. So when someone says I'm doing these drills to build muscle memory, then I want to engage them about that, not what muscle memory is.
Like, what do you think the effect is? What is the effect that's occurring that you're doing this, that you say is muscle memory? Great. I don't care about your language so much as what do you think the eventual effect or outcome is by doing all of this? And why do you
Right.
think that's happening?
And I would love to go in the coffee shop and randomly move all the equipment around one day, and you'll see a whole different the barista will be totally confused. Like, so I don't know what it is, but we would agree that myelination does occur, right? And now I don't know what role that plays in movement, but it occurs. The muscles innervate, the nervous system works differently when you lift weights heavy. You don't necessarily put on muscle mass, but you get stronger. That's some effect. So there are things that happen. There are changes, there are adaptations. I don't know what they are, where they are, but it doesn't help us to make someone feel stupid because they use the term muscle memory. We know what they're trying to say. They're saying, I did this for a while and I got better at it. And it's unconscious. So I just want to meet people where they are, but maybe muscle memory, maybe one day we will steal the term muscle memory.
But it's still, let's grant that it's what people think it is or some thereabouts. We still have to do the thing. It's still a history of experience.
Yes. Yes. And I wouldn't want to build a muscle memory of only being able to do it this way. I would not want to build a muscle memory that is so strictly organized that when stuff just goes here, I don't know what the hell to do. So if there was a muscle memory, then it would be this incredibly broad adaptive thing, which is what we're trying to do.
I think it's the difference between people believing that there's muscle memory and if we do all these rote repetitions, we're learning. And what we're saying or what we believe is that it's the decision-making process that is the most important to someone's success. How well can they decide, and where that happens, I certainly don't know, but how well can someone decide to do something, to adapt to a thing in that moment that will lead them to being more or less successful in that moment? Why would we even want to have muscle memory? I think about something Forrest said a few weeks ago, or when you had him on, and he said something to the effect that he's, working on the hand pads, he's learning these ways to do things, and sometimes he does them and it's not even the right thing to have done. So I'm like, if you have cemented some way to do something, and in that moment it wasn't even the right thing to be done, wouldn't it have been better for you not to have had that program, and you could have done something else that might have been better even in that moment? Like, why would you even want to have a memory of anything if that thing is so varied in the moment anyway? How does that help you?
One of the things that Rob said that was so it was so simple to me, but I hadn't even thought about it when we were talking about if a fastball is coming. You're like, well, what does that even mean? Is it 95? Is it 100? Because
and where
if we just
fastball, because it's still not always in the same place.
There's just too much. So going just to put a bow on it, I've not softened on the idea that we need to build muscle memory. I think that's silly. I think rote repetition to build muscle memory is where a lot of people go wrong. But first and foremost, we will do a better job meeting people where they are than to immediately say things like, where is the muscle's memory? What does that mean? And put them on a defensive to defend something that they haven't thought deeper of. It's just a way to package an idea.
Yeah, I keep coming back to the word experience. And I think if you could categorize or maybe redefine the idea of muscle memory as just being a history of that repeated experience.
Yeah, I agree. It's the same, like a tractor welds. Like we can't talk to someone that doesn't know what we're talking about a tractor welds and stuff. But I do know if the barista has been working in a restaurant, in that coffee shop for a year, and you come in and move all the equipment around, they will go back to where the equipment used to be over and over and over. It will take some amount of new experience for them to figure out where the equipment is now. And Rory and I were talking about this. I took the garage door opener.
I was thinking that.
I took the garage door opener off it was on my visor. I took it off and I programmed it into my mirror. So now I just press the button. I reach for the garage door opener all the time. I don't know. Is that muscle memory? Like, I didn't do it a million times. I did it once a day for a couple years. Or is it just, who the fuck knows? It's funny to me. It's, when it's not funny? It's not funny when I had been squatting 135 for about 6 weeks working on my form. And then I decided to squat 155, which is a 10-pound plate on the outside. And because I was brain dead that day and fatigued, I pulled the 45-pound plate off without thinking about the 10 that was there.
Just curious, what does your husband lift?
She's pretty strong, actually. She's pretty strong. It was for my form.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too, hey, listen, I don't want to get too bulky. I'm already big enough.
Then you really be the bear.
Yeah, I don't want to be too bulky. So I want people to reevaluate how they're talking to people outside of our area. And I also want them to reevaluate their own, because I'm starting to see too many of our contemporaries start to think their shit doesn't stink.
See you, son. Have a good day.
Like, they have all the answers. Like, what? And we know that that's full of shit. Oh, Scott is
just lumbering through.
How tall is he?
How tall is he? Well, he's got his high heels on today. He's catching up.
Okay, there you go.
Some big boots.
So I am now getting to the point where I am challenging, like, somebody that I'd worked with in the past put up this this beautiful graphic. Everyone's making these fucking graphics. I don't know how they're making these graphics where you can slide over on Instagram, and it was
Just photos,
it
homie.
was
Just
it
photos.
was it said CLA versus the traditional approach. And I was like, that is just gobbledygook. It is. What do you mean versus? What do any of those things mean? And so I sent him a message, and I was just like, hey, not for nothing, but you're new at this, and this doesn't help. Like, because now I sent that message to you guys the other day. There's a coach I just saw. He's doing all these interviews with his students about CLA. You've been doing CLA for 2 years. CLA for 2 years. It's better, right? And then I look at the next Instagram post, and it's this dude saying, here's how to escape the mount. Here's what white belts should know. Here's the perfect way to do this. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on now? Is the CLA just now a marketing tool that replaces the word drill? It's starting to piss me off.
Of course.
Everyone's a fucking
Trends
expert
will
now.
always be trends.
I am 10 books behind in my reading to try and figure out what the fuck what the fuck is going on. We all are. I got a stack of papers that people keep sending me that I can't keep up with, but everyone's a fucking expert now. The word CLA, we have CLA class on Tuesday night. What the fuck does that mean? CLA versus traditional. What does any of that mean?
People are actually making money off of taking things Souders has done and repackaging them for the rest of us. But it's
the
absurd,
telephone
that's
game.
what happens.
And it's the telephone game.
And it rarely gets better.
No, it's the telephone game.
Fidelity, right? the fidelity goes down because yes, Souders has dug and understands, but you didn't do that. And so all you can repackage are the pieces that you understand, which is just such a surface level. And you're not repackaging them well. And now all of a sudden, and I'm seeing these guys on podcasts now. I'm just like, fuck. And I'm not trying to gatekeep anything, but I want do some fucking work, man. Get some experience.
Read a book.
If you're a brown belt or a purple belt that hasn't trained anyone from zero to something and hasn't read all the books and done all the work and engaged and questioned and been challenged, just shut the fuck up. Shut up. Get off Instagram. Maybe it's my Instagram. Maybe it's just my algorithm. My algorithm feeds me bad ecological stuff and people doing nonsense.
Mine's is all
Who
that.
else?
Was Barry Robinson until a few days ago.
You didn't tell us who else is on your Mount Rushmore.
No, it's just it's some clickbait shit, and it's
getting you.
You know what? I'm going to just stick to one. I'm going to put all my eggs in the one hating basket.
You stick with Barry. Wait, no, I know who else you hate.
No,
okay.
No, not anymore.
They're best buds now.
I'm rolling it up to one big ball of hate, and I'm just putting it in one place.
They got an apartment
except the other guy is in the same space we were in, claiming, he said 100%, I am 100% sure this will change the way people coach and learn. And you basically just said, hey, you're really confident. Why?
I just said that's a bold claim. And I asked what didn't use the word ontological because that would be really wanky.
No.
I said, what theoretical foundation are you working with?
And he basically called you an asshole.
He called me an asshole.
And you said, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but there's a bold claim. And then his response to you was just dumb. And it died.
People are fucking absurd. They're absurd.
Yeah. So he is on your mountain. And that dude in New Jersey who is all about kata, he's on mine. I jab, then they jab. What?
Is that the one with the good hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate him. I'll take I'm going to reserve a wee bit of hate for hairlines.
I jab and then they jab and then I calf kick.
What's that?
You're not getting a pass.
What?
Your hairline? That's starting
to. That's why we don't get the overhead.
My grandfather kept like some amount of hair on his head until he died. But at some point it was all combed over and it was shellacked a little bit. And it was all bald up here. So, and really,
I was on TV. The reason why I was on TV. I'm just saying, D-level celebrity right here.
And I think Rory is going down that path. His name was Sydney Lavender, and Rory is going down that path.
That's a wonderful name, Sydney Lavender.
That's why I named my daughter Sydney is named after him.
Sydney Lavender.
My grandfather. Jews name their children after dead relatives. They, as opposed to other cultures that name their kids after themselves. So you have, 18 John Smith, John Smith the eighth, or that kind of shit. So my daughter's
Well,
named
getting
after.
back to the guy that you had the issue with, or that you just were like, "Hey, I'm
Oh,
not being an asshole." It's just
yeah.
why I find it all so absurd is that this is a thing that you just learned about a few years ago,
No,
and
that
now
guy,
you're
that
so
guy,
certain.
no, that guy has nothing to do with an ecological approach. No,
Oh,
no. This guy has created his own. He is definitely a do it this way. Like, here's the best way. How do you not know how to do this? And he's been like that for many years. He used to be in South Carolina, actually. I don't know if he still is. He looks like he's with Greg Jackson now.
The claim was that he's 100% sure he's going to change the way coaches coach and fighters train. And I just said that was a bold claim. I maybe could have worded it a bit more politely. I said, I'd like you to elaborate.
let's dig into that a little bit. Let's unpack that a little bit, as they say.
Just give it a wee prod.
Dude's got 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
I mean, so
what are we up to? About 140?
Oh, for sure.
And that's not thousands. That's 140. You know what's really kind of tragic, because YouTube is a treasure trove. I look at all these like academic conferences and these big speakers and whatnot, and it's just there's zero engagement. And I've often felt we're kind of like the middleman, right? You got all these fucking eggheads and geeks just devoting their lives to really trying to understand human behavior and development, and they get no love. And we're kind of their mouthpieces in a way, right? They do all this work for athletes in the sporting community. Much of them are not even into sport, but I think we have a bit of a duty to bring that to the mats, to bring it to the people, to get their message out there. But it ain't clickbaity, unfortunately.
No, you're not nearly enough of a douche to get eyes to get, because I think you need an immense amount of haters to attract some amount of people that like what you have to say. And then it's just it's like cultish. It's cultish in a sense. Here's a person who has all the answers. Follow them, and you will forever, whatever. You'll ascend to greatness if you just follow them, because they are the only ones who know how to help you. And
right, that's why this dude is selling an affiliate package.
Yeah.
And he hasn't accomplished anything from what I can tell.
No, but there are a lot of stupid people in the world.
And every time I start to write something, I get hit with so much anxiety about it because I don't know if it's right or wrong that I can't. And I could never make splashy Instagrams. And when I videotape, I'll run a drill. Like last night, I had a drill. It was good. I started videotaping it. I watch it. I'm like, you can't tell what they're doing. It just looks like they're sparring. Because all live work of it just pretty much looks like that. Unless you describe it for people, it's just going to look like people are sparring.
What a tragedy this attention economy is, and this clickbait economy. To your point about the 500,000 followers, that's 20-fold what Coach Greg has. And if you're in the jiu-jitsu community and you're interested in the CLA and ecological, you put some respect on a man's name,
Dude, we went to DeAndre was out in Atlanta. I'm sure you and Adam have spoken about it offline, but DeAndre, it's Corbet, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He was in Atlanta, so didn't want to go check him out. Like, what is he bringing to the table as someone who's now spent all this time with Greg? And I believe he's doing a lot of his own understanding and stuff. Like, there's going to be something there.
How many people were there?
Not nearly enough. There were probably 20 odd, 30 max.
20. I bet.
Yeah, he did a lot of drilling when he started.
Well, he came up.
he's trying to pull your chain.
But like,
I bet
it's great.
Wait, I bet within a 20-mile radius of where that seminar was,
thousands.
We have one of the highest number of jiu-jitsu people in the world in Atlanta.
People.
Thousands. 50 schools.
Yeah, for sure.
He had 20 people.
And most, like at least 25% of those people were the people that he had been training with, helping get ready for their events, while also getting some work and making some money and trying to spread the gospel, so to say.
Yeah.
There were some people in that room that were so dead set against this idea, and yet were there learning from someone who was spreading the gospel about, ecological dynamics through an exchange approach, and not many years ago would have shit all over it because it's the new.
I still think by the questions they were asking them,
no, they don't get it.
They didn't get it.
Well, they can't get it unless they spend more time with it. But we went because there was likely something to be gained. And I'll tell you what, there were some things he said and some things that he did, and it's immediately made a difference in my understanding of doing it this way, and helping me to maybe even my practice design and stuff. And like Adam and I were talking about, we have dudes in our room who are really heavily invested in leg attacks and stuff that have sort of gained some of this knowledge on their own and are watching things and seeing things and bringing it because they like it. But it was one of the first times that Adam and I had ever been to a leg lock seminar.
Yeah, it was so weird.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was great. DeAndre did it. I would go back to it. I would go back to a DeAndre seminar. He is obviously a gamer. And so he used a lot of language from gaming. And I stole some of that language immediately, and it made it easier to convey some of my ideas.
And I just picked up one or two things within the practice design, within the game design. And I'm like, and my leg entanglement game, which is something I don't play a lot with, but is already improved. Like hips closer. Like it was just simple. And it's already improved.
Scotty, you were saying he did a lot of drilling. You were saying that sarcastically, right? Because that's
of course, because I mean they need to find something to discredit.
He was already a black belt.
Yes.
Wasn't as high level of black belt as he is now.
Fucking right? Black belts are 10 a penny these days. So
yeah.
You can spend 30 grand and get a black belt apparently, and then start selling people your own methods about how you spend 30 grand to get a black belt or whatever has been spent.
Yeah, black belt is certainly, when we say someone's a black belt, I think we're past the point now where it's like, oh, they're an expert.
Like, someone shared this with me the other day. There's someone's come out with something. I hope it takes traction. But it was, and they've got thousands of jiu-jitsu people in it, and I'm not sure where they're getting the data from. But it was an ELO rating, or like an ELO kind of system.
Okay,
which I think would be fantastic for grappling, because I'm 50 now, right? I've been a brown belt for 8 years because I didn't give a shit. I don't have anyone to promote me anyway. And however,
I'll promote you. You want a black belt?
Black belt.
Sorry,
black belt.
I'm brown belt.
Black belt.
I know. Roy and I just gave you a black belt.
I'm
a 4th degree black belt.
I'm putting you on my tree. You're on the tree. It's done.
Black belt.
Right, thank you very much. I'm now call me professor going forward, please. Fuck. Now I've lost my train of thought. My point was, now that I'm 50, my skills are clearly, despite my fucking delusion, they'll be degrading a little bit. I'd like to be able to go and compete at purple and brown. So we can't have the discussion's over for me. Whether is skill a component of, does skill correlate with belt level? Of course, but you can't tell me it's based on skill, because if it's based on skill, not only skill is fluid. Skill goes up and down. Skill is relative.
Down.
Yeah.
We were at a seminar many years at camp.
My handicap goes up in golf.
Sure.
I don't get to scratch and be scratch golfer for the rest of your life. I was played off 2 when I was 15.
We were at a camp many years ago. We were at a camp, and Chris Howder, who is one of the original American black belts, he stands up in front of the camp and he says, I am standing in front of you right now, a purple belt. He's like, I am old. I have been injured for a while. I have been off the mats. He's like, that's what I am. That's where my skill level is today. And it resonated with me. And Rory and I were talking about this recently with stripes on the black belts. And I was like, I think they are just ego. They're hand jobs for the ego of black belts, because you get more stripes as your ability degrades. Right? Because the next stripe we get is 5 years. My abilities over those 5 years are not going up. I'll be 55 when I get the next stripe. There's a big fall off between 50 and 55.
Is there?
49 to 55. And so I agree with you 100%. It's like, look, I still think it's hysterical when you complain that black belt wasn't giving you his A game. I'm glad, because he didn't need it.
He didn't need to. Huh?
But he's 30 years old.
His C game pushed me.
But I agree with you, right? We are black belts in achievements, in time. But that's like anything, right? Like, you get a PhD at 30 years old. By 50, 60 years old, you're not as sharp as you were. You're not as intellectually curious or capable.
But you probably know more. More.
Maybe, yeah, I know more. Years. I know more about jiu-jitsu now. And I'm rolling sometimes, and I'm acutely aware of the fact that 5 years ago I could have done something. And now I can't. Striking makes it even more apparent when I get hit with a 2-piece, and I'm like, shit. I like 5 years ago I could have pulled the trigger on some counters here, but that button is rusty and fucking janky now.
I got a tremendous young athlete couple of years in, 2.5 years in, he just had debuted there. It was a beautiful, lovely performance. And he gets it, right? And he came up to me last night and said, Coach, because it was open mat. He said, people are asking me how I'm doing things. I don't, he said, I don't know how to explain it. I said, that, my boy, is just what I want to hear from you. Your knowledge is implicit, it's embodied. I said, maybe one day you'll build up this explicit knowledge and you'll be able to explain it better. I really don't care what you can tell me about the thing you're doing. What I'm delighted with that you're able to do it.
That's why some of the best athletes are never some of the best coaches. And it's why there's all the studies have been done about looking at athletes and you ask them what they're doing when they're doing things, and then you watch them do things and it does nothing. They're not doing anything like they think they're doing it. Because it takes a lot of time and energy and effort and mental, and the brain work to say, how do I get someone to be as good as me? Or how do I get someone to be even better than me? Because as a coach, that's truly what you're doing. So how do you take your knowledge about or your knowledge of and then pass it on in such a way that eventually your students are better than you? And not everyone can do that. And especially, in my opinion, if the only way that they know how to coach is because someone coached them like this and then someone coached them like that and so on and so forth, then how do you really make anyone better than you? It's always going to be limited by your knowledge of jujitsu, your techniques, your moves, your whatever. If there's not more to how you're helping others become good at this sport or any sport for that matter. You're the limit. If it's a coaching centric thing, then you're the limit.
Yeah. So I do. Let me jot it down so I don't forget it. Yapping. So let's ask ourselves a tough question here because we've just sat and we've just fucking moaned and been frustrated today. So the question would be: why don't we just shut the fuck up and get on with our own rooms? Why is it sour grapes? Is this frustration coming from sour grapes? Is it because there's almost it's going to sound a little unbearable, but like this. It's Plato's cave, right? We're fucking up here in the sunshine. There's a world up here. Come up. And I don't know if all this grumbling and frustration and they were expressing today. I mean, why? Why are we talking about this publicly? Why are you talking about it publicly?
That's a really good question.
I know why I am.
Why?
Because I want. I mean, and again, I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal, but I would like
I'll knock you right off.
I can't affect all the people, right? I'm here in Athens, Georgia, with that. When people go other places in Athens, I think they're making a giant mistake. So outside of Athens, where people aren't necessarily my competitors and taking food off my table, because I mean, that's just facts. I want people to come to me, A, because I have the best product, and B, I have bills and coaches to pay. But I get frustrated when I see people at places giving their hard-earned money to people that I don't think deserve their money. So maybe people watch this and they're better prepared to help their students and truly give value to their students for the investments that their students are making in them. And whether I can affect that change or not, maybe after having been doing this for 30 years, there's a point that says maybe someone will catch on. Maybe some of this will catch on. Maybe people will not only have a good time and sweat and whatnot, but actually gain the knowledge that someone has told them that they will gain, or the abilities, the skill that someone has told them they will gain by giving them some amount of money every month that they worked hard to earn.
It's always a bit of money.
Scotty, why are you doing it, Scotty? Why are you engaging with Barry Robinson and the other dude? And
because he's bullshitting people.
But what do you care?
Right.
He's not bullshitting your students. He's not taking money out of your mouth.
That's not entirely correct. When I see, because now on Instagram you can see who follows and who likes and whatnot. Not my students, but the kids know. I think the reason is twofold, and I may have just rationalized this and convinced myself. I don't like the violence of the sport, but I love this fucking sport. This sport's, my life. It's given me I'm deeply committed to investigating skill and how we develop the sport. Because this sport's given me so much joy and been a big part of my life, I want to contribute to it. I think we're fighters coaches, right? I actually care about the fighters. I think fighters are abused. I think they're misled. I think they're exploited, and I think they're fucking thrown away at the end of it. And this might, I don't know how that's going to sound coming across, but I'm a fighters coach. I care about, if I go to other gyms, other fighters, I hate the shit talk. I feel like there's a unique group, mostly young men, and I want to help them. I want to make the sport generally better for them. I want to leave. It's not about legacy or people going, well, this guy knew this and whatnot. I want to contribute because that's what progress is. That's where I'm at. And I think in doing that, I get frustrated when I feel a lot of these fighters are getting held back or misled. This is an incredibly fucking hard vocation to have for young fighters. And I think we have a duty as coaches, if we really give a shit, not just to care necessarily about our own. We want our fighters to win. We want our fighters to be the best. But I think if we truly care about the community of fighters, and Rory, you were a fighter, you've been there, you fought at the highest level, right? I care about that. I care about their development. I care that there's a fucking sea of bullshit out there, and I want to help clear the way a little bit. And maybe it'll be long before we're gone, and these ideas will just be seeds. And you can see it already. You're saying, again, Adam, I think if I go back and listen to some of my earlier podcasts, which I don't, but if I was to go back, I was probably getting way ahead of my skis. And that's pretty much comes up in every conversation now, right? We really don't know what the fuck we're doing. But it's an endeavor to get a wee bit closer every day through these conversations and just challenge people and challenge ideas. Because ultimately, I think we have a responsibility and a duty. If we put on the label as coach, we have a duty not just to our own people, we have a duty to our community and our sport. There we go.
So I will just
said that far better than I did.
Yeah, and I will just give one final piece that I look at it through. I have been in this sport for a long time. I will never be on the list of the world's greatest coaches. I will never be on the list of
They're everywhere. You know how many greatest coaches there are? They're like greatest dads.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, go.
World's greatest dad t-shirt. They're never going to talk about me like that. Hopefully, after I'm dead, someone will remember me. But I love coaching fighters, but I've also always been a coach's coach. And so part of what I like to do is help other coaches. And so the way I believe now is the best way to help other coaches is to challenge their assumptions. And I believe in what we are doing so strongly. I believe that it is the best way for us to keep going. I think we are just at the beginning of this road when it comes to MMA and grappling. And I want other people to start going down this road so that eventually we will be able to challenge each other and help each other and build this. And so when I see coaches grifting, it's almost impossible for me not to have an immediate reaction to that. And I'm not saying that I know better, I'm doing it better, I am smarter, but I am saying, hey, challenge yourself. You're doing what you're doing now. You're coaching athletes the way you are now because of something that you can't even put into words. So maybe you should figure that out.
Yeah.
I've always, if I wasn't so full of crippling self-doubt, I might start some consulting. I might offer services. But I won't. But it'd be nice if I could.
Two things to round off there. There was another one.
Please.
Again, I try not to.
Oh, wait, round off, then I got to say one other thing. Then I'm done. Go ahead. Round it off.
I did make a comment on another post today, I posted the other day, and it was this, I forget the name, but a couple 100,000 followers made something up about what really fucking sticks in his craw is when students are unengaged and not paying attention. He says, I spend 5 minutes showing the details and the technique, and they're sitting around not paying attention. And I just said, I think that's a coaching problem. That's not a student problem. It's not easy, right? But isn't it our job to engage the students?
Yes.
And I think if you're spending 5 minutes talking the details of a move, that's not about the student. That is not about the student. No, that's about the coach.
It's jerking yourself off. It's masturbating. And I figured out years ago when we had this new cohort of fighters, if I spoke 10 seconds too long and I said, okay, 1, 2, 3, go. And I would look over at, my two 18-year-olds, Griffin and Nick, and they would just be looking at each other. And be like, what's up? And they're like, yeah, we don't know what you want us to do. And I'm like, all right, that's on me. Like, I would love to change the world and make everyone who's 18 have an attention span that's more than 10 seconds, but they don't.
That's why I need to write things down. That's my quip. I'll say if one person's confused, if one person doesn't know what they're doing, that's their problem. If more than one person doesn't know what they're doing, that's my problem.
Exactly. And so last night I laid out a very simple drill. I started and I saw one of my female students was lost. She was just standing there trying to figure it out with the other girl. And I walked over and I said, am I explaining it wrong? Am I talking too much? Am I using the wrong language? Is this too complicated? I said, I am not asking you that in a passive aggressive manner. I am really trying to do better. Help me help you. I said, or do I just need to come over here after I say 1, 2, 3, go? Do I need to just come over here and help you for an extra 30 seconds? And she said, let's try that. I said, okay, that's all. We can do that. When we went and worked with the Pirates the first time, they were bringing in experts to help their older coaches talk to these new 18-year-olds because they didn't even know how to communicate with them. So that is a job us old fucking coaches are going to find that. And I really believe that this methodology works better with this generation.
I think this methodology works better just in general because I've been in that same room
as
a black belt, listening to a black belt go through 7 iterations of a move. I'm the visitor. I'm working with a purple belt, and I'm like, all right, you can go first because I don't even know what the first fucking step was. And that's, again, that's the world champion black belt. I'm a black belt. I'm in a US. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So it's not even a younger, older generation. It is an attention span that you were asking someone to take in details for 10 fucking minutes and then rely. That shit just doesn't work with anyone you think it does because you are not asking questions, because you are a self-centered narcissist who thinks that you
you're not. You're fucking running there.
Our black belt, Travis, was talking about having gone to visit a school. And he ended up partnering with a blue belt. And the instructor was teaching these multi-step things. And the blue belt was looking at Travis to be able to do these things and go first and guide them. And Travis is like, yeah, I have no idea what he wants us to do. I have no idea how to do. Like, I can do that move, but I can't do what he wants me to do. Yeah. So are we going to have an episode where we talk about the upcoming Conor McGregor Holloway fight? We would get big views, right?
Yeah, we'll get up to maybe 200 on the YouTube. Yeah, I think Sean Mishka wanted to do that. I'm going
I think Sean.
There, right? I have no idea. It'll be pure speculation on my end.
Yeah, so that's what I'm like. And he's like, you could do it before or after. And I'm like, I don't know which one I'm more comfortable with. Or I'm like, should we pontificate? But we have no idea what Conor is going to show up. I think he's completely washed. So what are we pontificating about? Conor 6 years ago?
I tell you, they do a good job of it. They do a good job in the marketing. We'll go into that fight thinking it's going to be a certain way. They're very, very good at it. I fall for it every fucking time.
Right. And Holloway is he's not washed, but he's coming close to the end, and it's the wrong weight class. It's like 2 weight classes wrong for him. Or do we do it afterwards where we sit around and make believe that we knew what was going to happen and why it was going to happen? And so I hesitate to do either.
We should do both and then see how it matches up. And then that should be your headline to get eyes. Conor McGregor is washed, ? And people are going to fucking flock that.
So let's maybe we get a guest for next week, but also we do like a quick special half-hour Conor Holloway episode.
I was thinking about that today. Here's the one question I'm curious about. Okay. Is Conor getting honest training? Because he's a fucking superstar. Is he getting honest training? Is he getting partners that are giving him what he needs?
No.
Or is he getting a bunch of fanboys to make him look good? Yeah. I don't know that. But that would be interesting to me.
I saw a video of him beating up some 16-year-olds recently, so I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Well, that's why I like
Was that at a club or was that in the gym?
Both. He beats up old men at the club. It was at the gym. Right. They didn't bring in, he's a 170 pounder. They didn't bring in 3 or 4 high-level 170 pounders for him to spar with. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have thought so. And to the point, I'm rooting for Max because I don't get emotionally involved or attached to fighters, but Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje just seem like wonderful human beings, and I will root for them till the end.
Oh my God, I'm rooting for Holloway. Now I know what Dana White wants, right? When Gaethje won, Dana White's hard-on was for Conor to win and make a Gaethje Conor fight. But holy shit, I hope Holloway fucking ends him and he goes away.
You're right. Dana will have a boner a cat couldn't scratch if Conor wins.
Oh my God! And look, that's if you love Gaethje as much as you do, then you want Conor to win because that makes Gaethje life-changing money.
Yeah.
I mean that, but
all right, I've got to go now and drive my daughter around.
That was fantastic. I love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you too. That was we got a lot off our chest today.
I loved it.
Happy 4th. You're welcome.
Happy 4th, America.
Scotty. You're welcome.
World Cup champion, America.
You're
It's
welcome.
the World Cup. Now, yeah. Okay.
Ah,
Stick to fighting, okay?
wait, this is all I know about soccer. Every time something exciting happens, they call offside.
Awesome.
I tell you with soccer, see if they flopped as easily as that in fighting, I'd be a world
Jesus
champion
Christ.
overnight.
Flopping and red cards, ruining it.
Later.
Have a good day, boys. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.